Hello, Pisces. Thank you so much for being here, you guys, and happy birthday to you. All right, my friends. So already you're starting off with the energy of the Tower here. So from Le Vampire, you pulled her last day in the light. Unexpected endings, surprise changes, and sudden shifts. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled Quest. Now, I think for some of you, this needs to happen because of Quest being there. Now, her last day in the light is not a bad card. But it is talking about tower energy. It's saying that if your past lies in ruins, that's okay. You're going to rise up now and come into the light and see everything for what it is. But, you need to go through a really drastic change or sudden shift. But I think that for some of you, it's because of Quest being here. Now, Quest says that you may feel like your life is happening somewhere else, and that's not true. Your life is happening now. Your power is now and in the moment. But then the other thing, though, too, is if you're doing this and you're making these drastic changes, you need to commit. You have to commit to that path. All right, Pisces, here we go. Here's your overall for the week. The King of Swords. So I'm not really feeling anything bad coming off of it. Now, if we're talking about you with the King of Swords, right? Thinking clearly, communicating clearly, seeking the truth. Now, for some of you, though, I think that you're dealing with another person here. And you're looking at air, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. But I'm not really, I'm trying to get a vibe on him, and I'm not feeling anything bad. I'm just feeling like, okay. But what I worry about here is when we're talking about Pisces, where are the emotions? And again, it's not like they don't have them. It's just they look at things, very logically, which is great and all. But when we're talking about Pisces, something's lacking, But like I said, I don't feel like he's a bad guy. Oh boy. Okay. So now, in the past, the Ace of Cups. Now, like I said, for some of you, right, what I look at when it comes to general readings is, first of all, when a core card shows up, right, we're looking at the sign that you could be dealing with. Male or female, I don't really pinpoint. I mean, obviously, you have a male energy coming in here, but what I look at is, okay, so if you have this person coming through, then what are you taking on because of their personality, right? So if you do have somebody coming through that is offering you this Ace of Cups, which is beautiful, by the way, I think that some of you are looking at it a little bit more logically and not getting so emotionally, immediately invested. Looking at it from a different perspective with the rational, logical mind here. But you do have the Ace of Cups coming through. And I love this one. Your cup runneth over. Right? New love, new spiritual connection, emotional fulfillment. And for Pisces, it's beautiful, but really it's about what you're going to do with this opportunity now coming through to you. Oh boy. So you have air and then you have Cancer. The Chariot. Now, this could be coming from a person at a distance from you with the Chariot, for sure. Somebody may be coming to see you. You may be traveling. But, the Chariot, willpower and self-control. And getting those horses going in the right direction, which represents the internal struggle, the yin and the yang going on within you, the way that you're thinking about things, the way that you're feeling about things. But I feel like you're ready to go. And again, travel shows up for me with the Chariot more so than I think the Three of Wands. And like I said, this could just be that, this person that's offering this may be further away from you. Or, they may be coming in to give you this offer. That or they're asking you to come after it. The Nine of Cups and future conditions. Wow. Now, what I love about this deck is, this shows the drinky drink, right? But hospitality. Now, for some of you, you may have somebody coming to see you. I think it's a good thing. And with the Nine of Cups, right, there's abundance and there's the wish fulfillment. But I also feel like this is something that you want, which is great. Now, this doesn't have to be love. This could just be a new opportunity coming through that is going to make you really happy, whether it's a relationship or work, whatever it happens to be here. But I think that you're like opening up here and allowing somebody else to come in possibly here with this new beginning. But it doesn't look bad. It actually looks really good. But like I said, with the Nine of Cups, I think this is something that you want. Your best path to follow, the Nine of Wands. Now, what I feel like saying here is that maybe you need to drop your guard a little bit. Now, normally, and I like this one because, she's like ready to protect what is important to her. Absolutely. And I do feel like that with the Nine of Wands. But the other part about it, though, too, is you've been through some shit. I mean, we're at a 9 here. There's a reason why it's referred to as the wounded warrior. And I worry that, this may be exactly what you want, but, to get to that 10 here with these 9s going on, it's like you may have to like stop being so on guard or so defensive, possibly. Because, even though the King of Swords could definitely be, somebody else coming through here, I still think that this is the personality that you may be taking on because of the situation, which is not like Pisces. But it makes me wonder, have you been through this situation before with the Nine of Wands? And maybe there's a little bit of hesitancy. But I still see you opening up here with the Nine of Cups. Wow. In your environment, the Nine of Pentacles. And I love this one too, because look at her. She's like, hell yeah, girl, look at what I've got. She looks great. And there's all this abundance now for some of you. You may be just a happy single person. You look good as far as that goes, but you have something coming in here. And it's almost like, and look at the 9s. Like all the way through. Wow. I kind of feel like there's a need to show this person that you are okay on your own, but you're still willing to open up like to other possibilities here. Whether, like I said, it has to do with a relationship or work, right? But like needing to maintain your independence, possibly for some of you. But like with the Chariot being there, you know where you're going, you know where you're headed. I don't think that there's any confusion as far as that goes. But I think something comes through, picks up the momentum here, and starts to change things for you because, like I said, you're wanting it. But you may be fine on your own, though. So that may be why you're kind of looking at things from a different perspective with the King of Swords. A little bit more clear mentally, a little bit more logical about this and truthful. But, like I said, I'm not seeing anything bad with this King of Swords. I actually think for once he's a good dude, which is rare. Okay. Yep, your hopes and your fears, the Queen of Pentacles. Now, if we're talking about you, we're talking about you not needing this. Like you're fine on your own. One of the things that I say about the Queen of Pentacles is she doesn't need the king. She can do that shit on her own, right? She knows how to create her own success and stability. But, if we're talking about another person here, it's like wanting to make sure that they see that, you know how to like take care of things on your own. It's basically like you're not a gold digger. It's like what you or the other person here are like trying to get across. Like, I don't need this, but I'm definitely open to the opportunity. But I think that this is something that you want, looking at the Nine of Cups. But it's like, instead of coming at it from an emotional sense, it's like you completely shift here, where it's like, instead of being who you are and getting like emotionally involved, you're like trying to project like a different part of yourself here. Like, look, I've been through some shit. I don't really need this. I'm good on my own, but I still want this. It's funny. But I'm not seeing anything bad here. Okay, so with the Eight of Cups, first of all, right, needing to walk away from something that you've been like emotionally feeding into, you know, and I don't think that it has anything to do with this situation. Like, I feel like this is something completely separate. It's almost like you need to clear some things out seriously before you can full on make the most of it. I think that you're in it, and I think that that's what you want. But then I also feel like, though, that this may have to do with another person here, like really needing to stop feeding into something that's no longer fulfilling them. And until that happens, right, nothing is going to change. And like I said, drastic changes coming through, sudden shifts, right? You've got the tower energy going on. But then I also think that, like I said, it's not just you. I think it's the other person though, too. And it's like, yeah, I want this, but some shit needs to be taken care of here. Now, one of the things that I do say about the Eight of Cups is it's not that easy. It is not that easy to just walk away from something that you've spent so much time with. But with all these fucking nines showing up, somebody is almost there. Now, with the Ten of Pentacles, you're talking about stability and security, which may be an issue as far as why somebody is not ready here to walk away from this. Even though it is no longer emotionally fulfilling, there is still a level of security here where there may be a little bit of a fear of walking away, because the other thing with the Eight of Cups, you have no idea what's going to happen, right? That's why we look at the moon in the background. You don't know where you're going. But the problem is you're already on an unnecessary path. You're the other person here. Now, with the Empress, right? Wow. Really, I mean, like really feeling good about yourself, feeling confident, enjoying some major abundance going on here. You know, and again, I still get this feeling like you're projecting this image of I can take care of myself. But the other thing though too is I feel like, you know, this is something that you need to get involved in. The Empress is about enjoying the physical senses, right? Now, for some of you, it could be that, you know, you're being tempted here, but I'm not seeing the Empress as a bad thing. I almost feel like this is on both sides. Like we need to really full on get involved and indulge in this, especially with the Nine of Cups being there, because I think that if you are dealing with somebody else, this is what you're wanting. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a relationship. It could totally be about work here. But whatever is coming through, I think you're looking at it as a really good thing for you. But the other person that you're dealing with may be the issue, right? Because I do think with all these nines here, that this is something that you've been through before. And then you have the Wheel of the Year, which I've always said when it comes to the Wheel of Fortune, right? Cycles repeating themselves, something coming back around. But it looks really good with the Empress sitting there. It's almost like you may have been through this before, but this is definitely a better opportunity for good things to happen this time. But only until somebody walks away. There's something that somebody is still dealing with here. And like I said, I feel like this is a totally separate issue. But before you can full on indulge in this, it's like somebody needs to get over the idea that, you know, what is not fulfilling them is actually secure, because it may not be. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say with this. Let your friends help you. Sometimes we need to vent to our friends when it comes to like dealing with difficult relationships. When you're looking at the King of Pentacles, he's a little bit pushy in this deck. Because look at her in the background. She's like, I don't know about that. And he's like, come here. You know what I mean? So some of you possibly dealing with an earth sign here, but I think the problem is that, you know, he may be a little bit controlling in parts of your life. And there may be a need to like reach out to your friends here. I don't think that this is anything abusive, you know, and again, right, like it would have been different if I would have seen the King of Swords coming through on this, but I don't think he's a bad guy. But for those of you who are single, that looks perfect. Perfect. That's a happy, happy relationship. Very fulfilling relationship. I mean, the sun is shining on him, for Christ's sakes. It's perfect. So for some of you, man, you know, you may be connecting with that person that you might end up getting engaged to. Nice. Very nice. But like I said, as far as the general reading goes, somebody's got to walk away from something where they think there's security in this. But where you come out at, you know, there's a real opportunity here for you to be happy. All right, Pisces. So, you know, and it makes sense that this is happening. I think some of you are on this unnecessary quest. And with this tower energy here, with her last day in the light, it's like something coming through that is causing like a sudden shift for you, especially with the Chariot being there. Now, the way that I'm kind of looking at this here is I think that you definitely do have somebody coming through. And I think that they may be offering you something that is going to make you really happy. But there's a little bit of hesitancy here. Now, it could be that there's a question on whether or not this person can be dependable. But then I also feel like there's a part of you that is like projecting this feeling here of you don't need it. Like you don't need it. With the Nine of Pentacles being there, you're fine, right? And with the Chariot, you know where you're going, right? You have control. And I do think that you are like maintaining control, especially with this energy of the King of Swords coming through. And I think that, you know, whoever the person is coming through here, you're looking at things from a logical perspective rather than immediately getting emotionally involved. But I do think that this is something that you want. And I also think that something may be coming through. You're either traveling or somebody is traveling to see you here and bringing this Ace of Cups with them. And it's like you opening up here. But then there's also this part here where the reason why you may be like being very logical about it is because I think that you've been through this before, especially with the Ace of Cups as a past coming through. But I do think here that, yeah, you need to protect yourself and your own interests. But if you feel like this is something that's a real possibility, then there may be a need to kind of like let your guard down. Right now, this could definitely, from what I'm looking at here, be something that you've been through before with a person, or this is somebody else coming through here with this opportunity. But because of things you've been through before, it's like things are kind of like at an emotional distance, I think is the best way to put it with the King of Swords being there. But, you know, like I said, it's like there's a question of dependability. I think that you're projecting out that you're fine on your own. You do well, right? Happy single woman here. Doesn't need a king. But I think that this is something that you want and the other person wants, but the only way that this is going to be realized is when somebody walks away from something that is no longer emotionally fulfilling them. Because I'm looking at these nines and going, you're almost there, but this Eight of Cups is what's holding up the show. Now, it's like there's security and stability with this, or somebody thinks so, even though emotionally it's been like wearing you down or the other person down here, right? And like I've always said with the Eight of Cups, yeah, it's easy for somebody to tell you to walk away, but sometimes it's not that easy, especially when you don't know what is going to happen next. But the kicker to this, though, is looking at, first of all, the Wheel of Fortune, but with the Empress, it's like needing to indulge in this, right? And feeling comfortable, being happy. But then, like I said, with the Wheel of Fortune, it's like this is coming back around. It's a repeating cycle, I feel like, but I think that this is a good thing. It's a good thing. It's just that there needs to be a completion of something for sure here. Now, singles, holy shit. I think that you're going to have somebody come through that, you know, I mean, with the sun shining on this relationship, it looks really good and it looks really happy. And I think that, you know, either you or the other person here are going to want to take this to the next level, and it looks really good, really good. Now, for those of you who are in a relationship, it's not bad, but like I worry about the person that you're dealing with, and I can understand needing to reach out to your friends if you're dealing with somebody who may be just a little bit too pushy and maybe a little bit too controlling. But, like I said, I'm not seeing anything really bad as far as that goes. It's just like needing to vent to your girlfriends about, oh my God, do you know what he's doing? But you guys will have to let me know. But like I said, somebody's got to walk away from something here. It may not be that easy because of the security and stability attached to it, but I think that this is something that both of you may want. And again, it doesn't have to be new love, but this could possibly be. But that Ace of Cups coming through, I think is something that is worth checking out for you.